Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We are back for another stream. This is the, team selection, or not team selection, sorry, got confused. Is the fixture and transfer tips video for Game Week 7. So in this stream, we look ahead to the best fixtures coming up for teams and also talk about certain players that we like the look of that we recommend you should be bringing into your team. But yeah, obviously, Game Week 7, Game Week 6 is over. Wasn't a great game week. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, how you doing, Jordan? How's your start of the week going?
Yeah, it's going well, thanks. A little bit earlier for our streaming, obviously, because of the midweek competition. So we thought we'd get this out before the 8 o'clock games like Arsenal and Man City play at 8 o'clock. So yeah, here to do it before obviously that begins. But yeah, it's been a good week so far. Nice end to Game Week 6. But yeah, a lot to discuss in terms of fixtures and suggestions for players for Game Week 7.
Yeah, let's bring up the first teams we're looking at potentially and the fixtures we should be looking to target. Now, these are Game Week 7 fixtures, aren't they? So
Yeah.
Everton play Newcastle at home. Brighton have go away to Spurs. And Brentford play Wolves at home as well. So talk us through the importance of these three fixtures. Why have you sort of selected these ones, Jordan, as look fixtures that you're interested in looking at for this game week?
Yeah, I thought for this week, obviously, there's a lot of obvious fixtures, but rather than going with the obvious, we thought we'd go a bit more with the less like underlooked kind of picks and differentials. So being the first one, Everton, even though they haven't gotten off to a good start, they did obviously get their first victory against Crystal Palace in Game Week 6. But instead of I'm not looking really at what obviously them winning or losing. It's more of the goals that are scoring, because obviously we've had a lot of success from, let's say, certain players in Everton. So that is solely why maybe that Newcastle fixture, especially at home for Everton, could be a good one, even though Newcastle did look good against Man City. Regardless, Everton, I believe, will still score amount of goals in that fixture. Obviously, if you look to the next one down below, we've got Spurs, who's got Brighton away. Now, you just saw Spurs beat Man United 3-0, and that was in the absence of Son. And again, it's another fixture where people might look at certain individuals from that game and look at players that could potentially be worthwhile in terms of Spurs assets, because I don't think really we have that many, apart from maybe one. And then last but not least, we've got Brentford, who's got Wolves at home. And we've seen Brentford scoring a lot of quick succession goals. And this might be another good fixture where it could happen again. So, yeah, these three are the fixtures that we should consider targeting. And obviously move on to the players we think we suggest you target as well.
Yeah, so let's bring up the players. So these are some of the players that we are looking at from these teams. Now, going back to Everton, obviously, they had a first win, I think, of their season. They're playing Newcastle at home. Now, I don't think this is an easy game for Newcastle. For Everton, I should say. And Newcastle have looked quite good against Man City. They've had a tricky start, but Everton have started scoring goals as well. So this could be goals in this match. And if you've got the likes of Calvert-Lewin, which I do, it could be a decent game for him to get goals. McNeil, we know he just coming off the double. I don't think this will be an easy game per se, but there could be goals in this game. I think it's fair to say. With Tottenham, we know they've just beaten Man United 3-0. Man United were down to 10 men. However, Tottenham look like, they've got a bit of form, like of Brennan Johnson, who's playing really well. Solanke's also playing well, getting goals now. He looks, confidence again, and he'll be looking to get another goal against Brighton. And Brighton have conceded 4 goals to Chelsea in Game Week 6. So I think this could be a high-scoring fixture. So there's a lot of players you could target. You could go for Brighton players as well, because I expect Brighton to score against Spurs. So maybe a score draw or something like that where it's possible. So yeah, I like Solanke for this fixture. If you've got him, guys, I think he's a good pick. Brennan Johnson's a nice differential. I know you've mentioned Brennan Johnson, potentially bringing him into your own team as well.
Yeah, he's I think again another underlooked pick. Obviously, Brennan Johnson, 4 out of 4. So he has 4 out of 4 in all competitions now for Brennan Johnson. So yeah, he is a possible maybe player that you could bring into your team. That midfield cheap as well. If you do have a cheap midfielder like a Smith Rowe or Matome or someone like that, Brennan Johnson could be a good ultimate pick for them.
Yeah, looking at Brentford as well, we know Mbermo is very popular. He's scored a very early, I think he scored in the first minute again, back-to-back goals. So he's on fire at the moment. And yeah, I like Brentford for this game. Wolves had a decent game actually. I don't think Wolves were that bad against Liverpool. Liverpool weren't at their best. So Wolves, it depends because what you think of Wolves at the moment. And they're bottom at the table, but the way they played against Liverpool didn't look like it. So maybe they won't be as easy as we think. But Brentford have played really well so far this season, especially in Burmo. Cavalli is an option again. I think he's at 4.8 million. Yeah. So he could be a decent differential if you want a cheap midfielder. After he got an assist as well, didn't he, on the weekend? So yeah, those are the options we're looking at on Brentford as well. So let's go to the next sort of bit of the video. Again, these are the fixtures now from game week 7 to 9. We'll also look to game week after game week 9. So I want to look at game week 12 really, because there's another sort of swing in game week 12. But you're looking at the fixtures. Brentford have Wolves, Man United, and Ipswich. We've got the likes of Mbermo in our team. Man City have Fulham at home, so you're looking at prime captaincy for Haaland. Haaland did blank for the first time against Newcastle this season, but I think he's going to be a popular captain pick against Fulham at home as well. Leicester look decent in terms of one of the newly promoted teams, or probably one of the better newly promoted teams out the ones we've got. Southampton struggling at the moment after their loss yesterday. Bournemouth at home, I don't think that's an easy game. Bournemouth looked really good yesterday, so we'll have to see how that plans out. West Ham have Ipswich, so it's a decent game, but I'm not really keen on any West Ham assets at the moment. What do you make of the fixtures after that? I know the likes of Everton, Villa, and Arsenal when you see their fixtures.
Yeah, it's surprising to see Arsenal where they are currently in terms of the fixtures, but yeah, in terms of Everton, obviously, it's more for the goals, that potential goal scorers like McNeil or Calvert-Lewin, and Newcastle at home. Not an easy fixture, but Newcastle do letting goals. Same with Ipswich. They did play well at home, but their away game could be a bit different for them. Well, sorry, for Everton, sorry. But at home, Ipswich have looked pretty dominant. And for the last one, Fulham at home in game week 9, again, could be a fixture where they might not win, but there should be goals involved. Aston Villa as well, got the likes of Rodgers, who now has his form going now after 2 assists and 1 goal. So he's a good, cheap, valuable option. Watkins comes into the frame now as well, as he is now playing with Duran. Like last game in game week 6, they both stayed on the pitch and weren't substituted for one or the other, which is a good sign. And with their other fixtures after that as well, Fulham away and Bournemouth at home look pretty good long term. In terms of Arsenal, the outstanding fixture, I think, for game week 7, the probable obvious pick of why a lot of people pick Saka and the likes of Gabriel, and maybe double defence or double attack with Havertz up front. That'll be the make or break, I think, game week, to see whether the Arsenal assets have paid off for those who bought them in. And obviously Brighton, they've lost a bit of form, if I'm honest. They didn't start off as strong as they did at the start of the season, sort of dropped off now, but their fixtures have swung a bit, so it's understandably why they're at the bottom there. I wouldn't really suggest any players from there at the moment. And again, for Ipswich, maybe you can include a Leif Davies in there in terms of a cheap defender for a bench player to maybe come on to play in some matches, like maybe the Everton game could be one to do, or even a Delap, who did score 2 goals. Could be an option too, but it's whether you want to go that different. But yeah, that's a few suggestions there for the teams near the bottom of the fixture difficulty.
Yeah, for me, the main fixture to target this week is the Southampton game. I think Southampton are the team to target. So that's the best fixture for any team. So ideally, you want to have triple Arsenal. I think if you want to have double attack, I think it could pay off. Southampton, struggling at the moment. Conceded 3 again, I think, yesterday to Bournemouth. So for me, if double Arsenal attack looks great, you expect a clean sheet from Arsenal as well in this one. So this could be a big scoreline. I'll also look ahead to I want to look at players that in terms of transfers out and who's the most popular picks in and out this week. So I'll just share my screen with you guys. Just bear with me. So we're looking at the transfers in now for this week, the most popular players. First one, no surprise really, is Cole Palmer. He's been transferred in by over 500,000 managers already. So 550,000 managers have already bought him in after his 4 goals against Brighton in the weekend. So his ownership is now 44%, which does scare me as a non-owner because he's so high at the moment. But if you're selling Saka for Palmer, I wouldn't do it personally. I think Saka's got the better fixture against Southampton at home, where Palmer plays Forest at home. It's not a bad fixture for Palmer, don't get me wrong, but Nottingham Forest defense is actually decent. They don't concede many goals, so definitely think you shouldn't do it this week. If you want Palmer, then you might want to, do it later. Yeah. But again, his fixtures do slightly turn, so yeah, I wouldn't be selling Saka, which we'll come on to in a second.
Yeah, and enabling that move from Saka to Palmer as well, it means you're chasing the points that you won't probably get, because I imagine now Saka will be score more points than Palmer will in Gameweek 7. So definitely keeping Saka of Southampton is recommended more than switching to Palmer.
Yeah, it's possible. Looking at Palmer, obviously 550,000 have already bought him in, and it's only Tuesday, so that's going to go up a lot more closer to deadline. And Burmo's up there, number 2 on the list for transfers in. Over 283,000 managers have bought him in. And I can see why. Obviously, he's done really well so far this season. 22% ownership as well. It's another popular pick. And we like the look of Burmo, and I've got him in my team. So he's someone that I definitely recommend you guys look at as well. Jackson, 3 on the list. So another popular pick. Ownership is now 17.1%. Over 228,000 managers have already bought him in. And he's one of the better forwards, I think, as well. So 7.9 million is that sort of that price bracket, under 8 million, likes of Solanke, but he's one of the better options as well. I think McNeil is up there. We've mentioned McNeil could be a one to look at his price, especially at 5.5 million if you need a cheap midfielder. Yeah. Luis Diaz is still being transferred in. We know he blanked against Wolves, but we expect him to start, and he's been very good so far this season as well, especially with the goal output that he's had recently. Gabriel's up there, Konate's there as well, which is interesting to see. Looking at players out, João Pedro is up there. I think it's obvious. Obviously, he's out for a while. Isak is still there. Eze. So I had Eze since sort of game week 1. Yeah, it's not worked out as much, 6 games, 1 goal. Bit unlucky, I think owners, fixtures slightly turned now. You've got Liverpool next, so you probably do want to get rid of Eze if you've got him. Salah is interesting that he's up there, 4th most transferred out, over 164,000 managers, but he's expensive at 12.8 million. You just come off the back of a 10-pointer. Fixtures slightly turned for Liverpool, Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal next, so a couple of tough games in there. But we know Salah is capable of scoring against any team. Bruno Fernandes is the 5th highest transferred out player. Obviously, that is due to the red card. But now we've heard the news that red card is going to be rescinded, so he will be fit for the next game against Villa. So if you've sold him already, it's a bit unlucky. Obviously, due to the red card, maybe people were frustrated and got an early sell, but he will be available now for Aston Villa on the 6th of October, because initially he was meant to miss all 3 against Villa, Brentford, West Ham. So he's back and should be fine, and I think he will start.
I'm surprised at how many players still had Bruno Fernandes up until this moment to be the 5th most transferred out this game week. So very interesting.
His ownership is now at 7.8%. So still a bit of a differential, but yeah, there are managers that do have Fernandes. Saka's the one that interests me the most. 145,000 managers have already transferred Saka out, and I bet most of them are transferring him out for Palmer because of Palmer's 4 goals. And I do think it's a mistake, guys, doing this move, because when you look at Saka's next fixture, it's at home to Southampton, who are one of the worst teams in the league. I think it's fair to say, probably are the worst team in the league, and definitely the team I'm looking to target. And it is a home game for Arsenal, so you'd expect Arsenal to put 3 or 4 past Southampton. And I know Arsenal haven't scored that many goals. Saying that, they did score 4 against Leicester, but we've seen Southampton. Yesterday they're not the best team, and they are struggling at the moment. So I wouldn't want to sell Saka. No way before Southampton. I find it absolutely crazy that managers are doing that.
Yeah, big. I think biggest mistake you could make, I think, for Game Week 7 is selling Saka against Southampton. If people watched that Bournemouth Southampton game yesterday, if Bournemouth can score 3 against Southampton, then Arsenal are more than capable of scoring that or even more. I would expect more, if I'm honest, from Arsenal with the team they have. So yeah, Saka to get returned in that high possibility.
Yeah, and also Semenyo yesterday was very impressive in that match in the Monday Night Football game, and he plays off the right. He was getting a lot of joy, and that's what exactly Saka plays on the right. So I wouldn't sell Saka, guys. I think it's absolute madness. People are selling him. So if you've got Saka, definitely hold him. And I think he can pay off. If he doesn't do anything against Southampton, then you possibly could look at selling him ahead of the likes of Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. But even then, after that, Bournemouth away is not a bad game for him. So I'd give Saka at least 2 weeks and then reassess for Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, because these 3 games are tough and 2 of them are away from home. And the only home fixture is Liverpool. And as I was mentioning, Game Week 12 is a week that I'm looking at as well as a swing. So if you've still got your wild card in your pocket, guys, Game Week 12, I think, is a good week to wild card because you can get back onto the good fixtures for certain teams. And Arsenal are one of them as well. You look at Liverpool. I think Liverpool are a team after Game Week 12. I mean, their fixtures still tough, to be fair, but there is a swing in Game Week 12 with a lot of teams that I've seen. So one to watch. Smith Rowe's up there still. I think Smith Rowe is a decent option still at his price, 5.5. But again, fixtures turn slightly. He's got Man City, Villa back to back. So ideally, you don't want to be playing him in those weeks.
No. Good ideal swap for obviously Smith Rowe would be like a McNeil at 5.5, saving a little bit more money as well. Better fixtures Everton have, and maybe more upside in terms of goal involvement. I think is higher than Smith Rowe's.
Yeah, let's take a few comments as well on the chat. So, what's your opinion? On Watkins? He's playing like a premium. Might have to sacrifice Salah to him. Thoughts on Watkins? Let's have a look at the fixtures. I do like Watkins. He's at 29% ownership. He's just come off the back of an 11-pointer after a goal and an assist against Ipswich. And the fixtures, they're up and down. Man United at home, I think that's a decent game for him. Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Spurs, Liverpool. So the fixtures are, they're not easy, but they're not super difficult. So I think Watkins is a good pick, guys. I think he's one of those players that you can put in your team and he will get you goals here and there. Like he will sort of get by and get you points most weeks. He's already on 4 goals for the season after his slow start. Now back-to-back goals. Sorry, he's got 5 goals in his last 3 matches, I should say, after no goals in his first 3. So he's fully turned it around, and it's no surprise, guys, as we said, always fixtures make form. So you look at his first 3 fixtures: West Ham, Leicester, and West Ham, Arsenal, and Leicester. So slightly tougher games, but then the fixtures turned for him against Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich, and he's gone and got 4 goals in 3. So when you have good fixtures, you expect obviously these sort of points, and he's got decent games coming up. And I do like him as a pick at 9.1 million. I think he might be the best striker still, apart from Haaland, obviously. If you can afford him, I think these are good games to target. And at his ownership, especially his effective ownership with the higher ranks, don't think he's that popular because a lot of people have gone for the likes of Solanke, Jackson, etc. Even the cheaper Chris Wood and DCL. So he's definitely a good option.
Yeah, and just obviously add on that as well, Ollie Watkins is playing more minutes than he was in the first 3 game weeks, and you can see quite a comparison because obviously he didn't score a goal in the first 3, only getting 1 assist out of those 3. But we've been playing 80 plus now, 90 minutes. I think he played 90 minutes against Wolves. We're starting to see more goal involvement now, and Emery even said as well, him and Duran can play together, which we did see in game week 6 where he wasn't subbed off for him. They both were on the pitch, so it is looking good if you are considering Watkins now.
Michael says, "Oh, and I got Howard Bellis goal to cover up for selling Porro and Palmer. I had to get rid of Bruno early. Don't know why people stick with him," says Elika. Dan the Man also says, "Evening guys, evening mate. I agree. Selling Saka to Palmer is a mistake. Saka could have easily hauled, and I bet there wouldn't be that many transfers out." Yeah, of course. It's when a player does score 4 goals, you will see an influx of transfers. It happens every game week, especially with Palmer as well, who's obviously a really good player anyway, who's got a decent fixture this week. But I still think I'm going to wait out with the Palmer move, because there's no way you want to get rid of Saka if you own him. Harry says, "I bought in Mavididi, and I'm not really a fan of Saka, even though my wildcard team would have looked better with him instead of Salah." With Saka, I mean, I think it is. I think the Saka debate is just because Palmer's done so well. So now people are looking at Saka thinking, for that price, Palmer's doing this. Why isn't he doing that the same? But I think we've seen it with Saka. He seems to be more of a creator. He's only got the 1 goal. I think he's got 6 or 5 assists this season. So he probably isn't as explosive as Palmer. Now, don't get me wrong. When the fixtures turn again, you probably want Palmer instead of Saka. I'm not saying Saka's a much better pick, but I think for this week, when he's got Southampton at home, I wouldn't want to sell him, especially seeing how Southampton have started the season. Also, guys, make sure you do drop a like button on the stream if you are enjoying the content, and also make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you're new around here. But in terms of the fixtures, I'll quickly pull up the fixtures as well, so I have a longer term view. And as I mentioned, there is a sort of a swing in game week 12. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, we mentioned Arsenal. They're the team I think has the best fixture this week outright on paper. And a lot of our teams, I think we can get away rolling, especially if you wildcarded. I'm looking in terms of the fixture block. Ipswich have quite a few green fixtures. So do Leicester. I'm not sure our greens for both these teams, but
yeah, that is a surprise. It's like Everton having a lot of greens, considering their form records at the start of the season till now.
Yeah, Man City obviously a nice run of fixtures now. Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton. These are fixtures where you can just perma-cap Haaland for the next 5 weeks, which makes selling Salah a lot easier. So if you're not going to captain Salah against Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Villa, this is why I think it makes sense maybe potentially to sell Salah and recycle the money elsewhere, because you're going to be on perma-cap Haaland, I'm assuming, for the next 5 weeks. Man United, they've got a tough game against Villa. Fixtures us green on here, surprisingly, for Brentford, green, and then West Ham. The West Ham have struggled of late as well. Chelsea could be tough. Newcastle's fixtures up and down. And Southampton, we know they're a void at the moment. Spurs don't have a bad fixture, and I like the next 5 for Spurs if you own the likes of Solanke, I think. But yeah, is there any team that sort of stand out to you, Jordan, that you're looking to bring in, maybe target their players or?
Well, in terms of the ones we've spoken about, obviously there's Everton, Dwight McNeil. He's obviously a standout one, I think.
Yeah, the fixtures are quite nice when you look at Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford.
Yeah, especially that Ipswich fixture, which could be hard, could be tricky, but there's going to be goals involved, and Everton haven't failed to deliver the goals in games, and it seems like McNeil as well is getting a lot of success, even over Calvert-Lewin as well. So yeah, he could be a good cheap option that I'm looking to consider long term.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I went for Calvert-Lewin on my wild card, because I think the fixtures are quite nice. Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford. I went with Calvert-Lewin over someone like Chris Wood. I mean, Chris Wood doesn't have such bad games. I mean, he does have Arsenal and Chelsea, either side of some decent fixtures. But Newcastle, West Ham, and Palace at home are decent. But I just think slightly Calvert-Lewin has a better fixtures, and that's why I went with Calvert-Lewin ahead of Chris Wood on the wild card. We'll have to see how it pans out, obviously. But yeah, those are sort of the fixtures for the next, 5 or 6 games, guys. So I think if you've got a wild card still, the next window that a wild card opportunity comes is probably game week 12, if you can wait till game week 12. because there's Arsenal got some nice fixtures. Liverpool have Southampton in that week, so Liverpool in game week 12 could be decent as well. But yeah, those are sort of the teams that we're looking to target, guys. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. What players you're looking to bring in as well in the chat. Comment here: selling Saka before playing Southampton is a bit strange. Yeah, we've mentioned that. Don't see why you do it.
Yes, well, it might be the biggest mistake I think people do in the season so far is sell Saka before Southampton.
Foden starting for City tonight. Interesting, says Dan. Yeah, one to watch. If Foden does well, maybe he becomes an option in a couple of weeks' time when Man City's got the nice fixtures. Game week 9 to 11 is going to be an absolute disaster with the fixtures, says Harry. Hi, Guy. Thoughts on Welbeck to Raul Jimenez? Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, because I
What's
think
his price? Is he 5.5, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 5.5. Because it seems like Menez has sort of lost his place in that forward line, and Jimenez is the more preferred one because he has had 3 goals in the last 3 game weeks, and on the other hand, Menez, I believe, hasn't had any goals, and it seems like Raul Jimenez is playing more minutes as well, 70, 80. And yeah, I mean, he's got Man City next though. So I don't think it's the right time if you didn't have him till now to bring him in, because he is playing the most hardest.
I'd say go for Calvert-Lewin, Jenny, if you can afford Calvert-Lewin with his fixtures coming up. I know Newcastle isn't an easy fixture, but after that, Calvert-Lewin's got some nice games, and he's only 6 million. Or you could go for Chris Wood as well. Hi, Guy. Thoughts on Salah to Saka for free? As I said, because you're not going to be captaining Salah, assuming you're going to go Haaland perma cap for the next 4 or 5 games, then I don't see why you would. It's not. I'm not against Salah for Saka just because of this fixture. Southampton at home, he could go big, and yeah, it's mainly down to captaincy. If you're going to captain Salah, then obviously you keep him, but I'm assuming you've got Haaland, Roman as well, and you currently plan to wildcard in game week 12. Thoughts on Timber and Calafiori are either nailed? You think they have attacking potential? It's hard to say because Ben White is still there. I know it looks like Ben White has dropped out for Timber. So me personally, I'm not going to go there. I prefer the safety of Gabriel or a Saliba if I'm going for the defense, or even a Raya. I know they've got attacking potential, but not for me. I'm not going to go there in case we know the likes of Ben White can easily play a right back, especially with Champions League games sandwiched in. You will expect Ben White to get minutes. And on the other side, there's also Kivior, and they've got Zinchenko still there who could, sort of take minutes off Calafiori. And even Timber could play left back, and then they could play Ben White right back. So not for me. Raul or DCL, Jordan?
I'll probably go DCL just because the fixtures are in the favour more for DCL in the next 5 because Raul Jimenez has Man City and difficult ones afterwards. Okay,
and then Delap or Vardy. I'll probably go Vardy. Fixtures look nice. Bournemouth, Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Ipswich. You've got a couple of newly promoted teams in there, plus Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest at home. I think for Vardy, isn't it? So yeah, I like the look of that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because Delap's had 3 goals so far. On the other hand, Vardy, he's had 1 goal this season, or 2 goals, this season. 1 against Crystal Palace and 1 against Tottenham. But I slightly prefer Delap. Fair enough.
Michael also says Vardy or DCL. I prefer DCL, I think. I had to go. So a 6 million or under striker. I think DCL for me is the top of the list. That's why I've gone with him myself. Jazziest Spies. Evening, guys. Is Delap or Jackson a better move? They both help fund other transfers for me. I mean, it's hard to compare both of them because one is so much more expensive. So I think Jackson is definitely the better pick. But obviously, there's a big price gap, I believe, between them. But yeah, if you can get Jackson in, with the way Chelsea are playing at the moment, with the goals they're scoring. But again, with Chelsea, their fixtures do turn, guys, slightly. I'm not massive on Chelsea's fixtures. Nottingham Forest is good, but Liverpool away at Anfield. Then they've got to go. Obviously, they've got a home game against Newcastle. But I think Newcastle is going to be a tough game for them. Man United away. Now, whatever people think about Man United, is an away game at Old Trafford. It is against one of the big 6 fixtures. And it could be low scoring, but we know Man United's form isn't great. But then Arsenal at home as well. So ideally, I'd want to avoid Chelsea until at least game week 12. I think I'm okay going without many Chelsea assets for the next 4 or 5. That might come back to bite me, but I just think the fixtures aren't great, even though how Palmer has great he's been. He
Yeah.
probably will return in a couple of these matches as I expect him to anyway.
Yeah, I think if you've already got Palmer as well in your team and you're looking to go for Jackson too, then you're probably better off going with Delap and saving money because you've got that Chelsea cover already. I know it's a bit more template going with Palmer, not having also Jackson involved there too. But yeah, because of fixtures, I think I do prefer having Delap at a cheaper price who has better fixtures and maybe a chance for him to score in some games as a differential.
Henderson to Raya on a wild card. Yeah, I've done the same. I've gone with the Raya on a wild card. I think he's a solid option, especially with Arsenal's defense. You'd expect him to keep clean sheets as well, and it's an easy way in to potentially get clean sheet points. But we're going to wrap it up there, guys. It's already 8 o'clock. We know Arsenal are kicking off just now, and Man City as well. They've got the Champions League game, so we're going to leave it for now and go watch the football. We are back again on Thursday for team selection for Game Week 7. So make sure you tune in for that. We'll discuss our teams. We'll discuss lineups, transfers, all that stuff on Thursday. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you're subscribed, guys, to the channel. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, and we shall see you on Thursday. Anything else you'd like to add, Jordan?
Yeah, enjoy obviously the games tonight, guys, for the other league competitions. Until Thursday, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week and see you soon.
Yep. Thank you for your time, guys, and see you soon.